Whenever you raise your standards, whenever you raise the bar in some way, challengers are going to come up, right? Because you put more onto the capacity that you've been used to. Moving into some value. I want to give you guys some value now. Okay, so just looking back, you know, I'm seeing the challenges you guys are having, and I'm seeing some of the challenges that I'm personally having this week, and you know, it just makes sense, right? Like, you know, I started thinking earlier this week, like, why are we having so many challenges? I'm like, oh, duh. Like, of course we're gonna have challenges. Why? Because we're following up challenges and commitments from last week. You know, so we're raising our standards. We're raising the bar. So really want to kind of focus a little bit more on chapter 10. Last week we finished up with that. I believe we talked a lot about it on Thursday and Friday when we talked about staying in your mind and go blind. But the chapter 10 is it's a really what focus on what has happened in the past. Ryan, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming. So I want you to focus on like what stopped you in the past, because now we're getting that resistance. Now we're starting to see some of the challenges. And Ryan, I'm glad you're in, because you could basically expect this to happen over the course of the next couple of weeks. But so, you know, whenever you raise your standards, whenever you raise the bar in some way, challengers are going to come up, right? Because you put more onto the capacity that you've been used to. Okay, now last week we talked about a lot about staying in your mind to go blind, but I left it there, and I want to move into some of the other points. But I want to remind you, like, when you stay in your mind, you go blind. Like, guys, please don't forget that. Okay, so when you create an awareness within yourself, you identify that record player that keeps playing over and over and over. So I can't stress enough, be careful of what you're saying to yourself, because your body's going to respond to that in some way. And when your physiology responds to that in a disempowering way, what happens? You start getting slumped, you get the angry face going, and, you know, sometimes defensive, you know, and you clench up a little bit. So I want you to be aware of how you're responding to some of the challenges that are happening throughout the week. Now, all of us are having various challenges, right? So we're going to respond a little bit different way. Some of us are going to feel sad. Some of us are going to put our chest out. Some of us are going to get angry, or some of us are going to get disappointed, or some of us are going to be fearful, you know. But whatever feeling that you're getting from that response, I want you to be more conscious of it, because that's the opportunity. Once you can identify it, that's the opportunity you now have to change it. So it's okay to feel these feelings. I'm not saying don't. It's powerful that you do recognize them. They're an action signal, right? That means, okay, something's up. How do I get to respond to this? And that's the opportunity you now have. See, now the responsibility is on you. Your body did what it needed it to do. It may just say, hey, wake up. You know, it's like somebody tapping you on the shoulder, but we've got feelings instead, right? So it's our job to figure out, okay, well, what does this mean? You know, and when we get to that point, now we can make a choice. Can I create an empowering meaning with this situation, or am I going to create a disempowering meaning? You know, and that's a very, very powerful thing. Okay. The cool thing is that you've got control over that. Okay. And if you start getting into this old record player that says, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm in a rut, I can't get out of this, or, oh man, I don't know what's wrong with me. And that statements like that are paralyzing. Statements like that create anxiety and depression. Okay. You guys you have a choice to identify that and then create anew. Create anew, but it starts with your physiology. You need to change your physiology into a place of empowerment. You know, if you're like this, you know, how are you going to convince yourself that the positive statement that you're making is real? You know, you guys know me. Some of you guys know me at a little bit more personal level than others, but I joke a lot. You know, I do that to break patterns, and I do that because life's too effing short. Life's too short to disempower you in a way for a situation that came to you, a challenge that came to you, and that's meant to allow you to grow. Guys, I have some serious challenges going on in my life. Things that I don't like talking about because they shouldn't be public. You know, like you, it would blow your mind. You'd be like, oh my God, Bill, how are you so freaking happy? What drugs are you on, man? I'm not on drugs. I'm on the drug of freaking life. I'm on the drug of life because I know if I let things freaking beat me down, then how am I going to take on that challenge and be certain that that challenge is there to allow me to grow? Be certain that that this challenge is here for me, not to be against me. And when that happens, when you are able to get into that type of mindset, your whole life changes, your entire life. And I can't stress the awareness chapter enough, because it's so many things in my book are attached to other chapters, you know? So when you stay in your mind, you go blind, right? We got that last week, but that's one of the things that has stopped people in the past, you know? So how do you respond, leaving to move on to the next point? I really want you, because this works with everything in your life. It works in the next 2 points too. You know, if you're not responding to adversity from a place of empowerment, then it will drag you down. Okay? And remember, your body is a broadcaster. Okay, don't forget that, guys. And again, like it takes practice to learn this stuff. It takes repetition. But once you nail this down to the point where you can teach it to others, then you're gonna find that things are gonna happen to you, and you're just gonna understand the steps that, yeah, it's happening for me. It's not happening to me. You know, it's a challenge. It's part of life, and I'm gonna deal with it, and I'm gonna be stronger afterwards. You know, every challenge is a freaking victory story in the making. Really, you know, it's a story you get to tell somebody later on. Oh man, you never believe how I went through this thing, and bam, it changed my freaking life afterward. And I thought I'd have to walk through the depths of hell, and next thing you know, I created heaven. You know, and that's how it works. So be careful of what you're broadcasting, okay? Because your physiology, your mindset, it broadcasts a signal out into the world. And I guarantee you, the laws of physics proves that it is going to come back to you. So it's not going to serve you or anybody else or your goals if you're broadcasting something that is not going to serve you. Okay, when you're in a negative state, you're shooting out negativity, and you might as well keep your hand out there, because you're going to get it back. So why don't you just hold on, keep your hand out there and hold it back, and then put it back to you. Nobody wants that. I don't want that for you. So please practice these techniques, guys. This is super, super powerful stuff, and it's going to freaking change your life once you mastered it. Okay. Take ownership of your life instead of blaming or assuming. Right? That's the second point here. Take ownership of your life instead of blaming or assuming. Okay, because every time you experience some sort of pain, you got two options, right? So what are the options? You could take ownership of it, or you could blame somebody or something or a situation, right? For years, I used to blame others on my situation, okay? And I would blame my childhood, and I would blame the way I looked. I would blame how I felt, or I blame a medical thing, or I blame my resources. I don't have enough resources, or I'm too tired, or whatever it is. Okay, I blamed something, and it never ever served me. It never once served me. Blame will never ever serve you. Okay, so and you know what else happens? You go and then you identify who you're gonna blame, right? And then what you do, I'm not talking about you personally, but if you do this, then you go and seek support from somebody else, right? Just to validate it. Because you kind of get like your group of people that you can call. You know, it could be a friend, that person that you get to complain to, right? Remember, what does complaining do? Boom, boom, broadcast a complaint signal. Boom, who are you gonna get it back from? Doreen, thanks for coming. So be careful what you're broadcasting to. So careful who you're getting the support from. Be aware of that. Back to the awareness chapter, right? If you're seeking support and validation for blaming somebody else, woo, man, ouch. Now, do you think that's going to serve you? This is a challenging week. Next week may have some challenges too. But this is following a challenge week and a challenge from commitments, right? And when you raise your standards, those challenges are going to come. until eventually you work on those challenges and you've created a completely new capacity and a completely new lifestyle just from raising your standards, right? And you get used to it, and then you get to raise your standards again, and the cycle completes, right? So be careful of how you respond to it. Okay, when you learn the art of turning blame on yourself, then your whole life is going to change. Okay, because it's kind of like a mirror. Remember? So if you're looking, instead of blaming something outward, and you blame inward, then you can help solve the issue, right? Because now you've got the control. Okay, because whatever that outside situation is, you create it. Okay, because of what you're broadcasting. Okay, maybe it's there to help you, maybe it's there to serve you. All right, but you'll never reach your full potential until you do. But at that point, you've got a choice. You've got a choice as to how you respond to it. Right? So how are you going to respond to adversity? Cool. So I want to pause there so you guys can really get it. All right, so that's taking ownership of your life and not blaming or assuming. Okay. Next point. So careful using the word to. Okay. Man, that's probably the worst word out there, and most people don't even realize it. When people rationalize, okay, and start creating reasons for, they often use the word to, right? It's too expensive. It's too long. It's too hard. You know, and they make it out to be way too bigger in their head, right? Have you ever had a situation, right, where you made something out to be too big in your head, right? And you just exploded it, and you know you got your friends involved, and you're like, oh man, you know, this is this, and your friends they want to support you, they want to validate you, so they're like, yeah man, yeah, that's us, two. And then you had to confront, at some point you had to confront whatever that two was. You know, sometimes it's a week later, sometimes it's a day later, sometimes it's years later, you know, and that's where it really becomes sad. And you realize that whatever you made in your head was just, it was way bigger than what it actually was. And usually it came from some kind of assumptions that we made. We made it too much bigger in our head, and we rationalized beforehand. So what I encourage you to do is be careful again how you respond to these things. You know, when challenges appear, we run the same patterns in our brain until we recondition those patterns, right? And you guys, you're seeing, and me too, you're seeing, because we raised our standards, right? You're seeing those challenges come. So I want to give you guys the tools to know how to address these challenges. Okay? So I encourage you to just put it to practice, guys, and make sure that you're taking notes during these sessions, and you really, you know, internal drive, to unleash your internal drive and become somebody that's unshakable. You know, I consider myself unshakable because I've been able to really understand and put into practice all the things that I'm teaching you. And if you want the same, your life is going to change forever, but it comes with practice. It comes from taking that resistance and saying, you know what, I want to be unshakable, because that's what I personally did. And if you want that, then you just keep practicing over and over and over until you get the wins. Love that phrase. And I want to leave you guys with this. You guys are fighters. Okay? You're filled with strength, and you're filled with power, and you've got something inside you that can make you an even better individual than you are today, over and over. And you've got so much love, and you've got more confidence inside you than you think that you have. It's just ready to come out. And let me tell you something, you're also amazing as you are. Okay, you guys are empower warriors. You stepped up. And I think you're incredible for that. And you're amazing. And next week, you're going to be that much better. And that much better. And you're going to look back. And you're going to look back and say, you know what? Man, I'm glad I did that thing. That thing that was challenging, because you know what? Man, I feel so much better. So it feels so much better for it. I accomplished something. I created more wins. When you do that, you guys are going to get what you want. So keep moving forward, my friends. Keep moving forward. And I'll leave you with this. Okay? Once you drop the story of your limitations and pick up the reality of your unlimited capacity, your whole life will change. Leave me a comment, guys. Keep on rocking. Hey, thanks for watching the full video. You made a great choice and empowered yourself some more today. If you'd like more, click the videos right here. They're exactly what you need to see next. And if you're new here, hit subscribe and become a part of the Empower community, and tell me what you think about the videos in the comments below. I read all of them and respond daily. Make a comment.